my name is Joseph Roche, and this is my discussion on the distance of the firmament from the Earth. We have, for some reason, created the firmament so far away we can never get to it. However, can we ever figure out how far the distance is from the Earth to the firmament? Because if we live on a flat Earth, and maybe we can figure it out. Maybe at one time, the people of old actually knew how far the firmament was from the Earth. And I actually believe this because we had the Tower of Babble, right? We read about that in Genesis, and also in the book of Joshua. It goes into much more detail, chapter 9, in case you're interested. And they had their schematics onto of the Tower of Babel, how big the base was going to have to be and how high it was going to be. They had their blueprints. And according to Joshua, their tower would have, if they were allowed to complete their task, they would have been able to do it. So therefore, they knew how high they needed to make the tower to get into heaven.
Non sequitur.
So they knew how high the firmament was in order to build a tower that high. And so I was doing some digging on this. And the first place I started was Genesis. And some things in Genesis actually hit me. I was just reading this, and this is what came out to me. So Genesis, we'll start with chapter 1, verse 6 through 8. And God said, "Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters." And he called the firmament heaven. So now the firmament, the dome structure, is called heaven. And now there's two different arguments when it comes to the dome structure. There's a bunch of them. There's a few, not to say arguments, but people who suspect one way or the other how it's put together. Some say it's a physical structure, and some say it's an electromagnetic structure that would repel people away, something like a force field. And inside the dome structure, there's two pin lights, or devices known as the sun and the moon. The sunlight, or the light above it, will go into them, and then they filter that light and sends it through. And how to know it filters the light? Because the sun has a heat source, and the moon has a cold source. So those two devices are adding a level of plus and a minus, like a battery. So as they're going through the dome structure, guess what? They're creating an electric field.
That's the coolest fucking story I've ever heard in my entire life. That's insane. Can I hear it again?
We all have batteries. We all understand. For those who understand how devices work, batteries, there's a negative and the positive. There's electric going through it. There's a current. That means the dome structure is a giant battery.
Kids, Itchy and Scratchy can't be here today, but instead, we've got the next best thing. It's the Stingy and Battery Show. They bite and light and bite and light and bite. Bye, 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 yada, yada. You know what I'm talking about. Uh-oh.
So we got that part. So now let's talk about the actual distance. There's a lot of triangulating devices or apps on the phone where you can have one person at one point standing and another person standing at another point. And there's been a lot of people who've done experiments with these devices. And people have stood from states away, like large distances, and they use the device at the same time. There's a YouTube channel that's known by Rob Skiba.
Oh, Pauline!
Who has gone into these with a little more length, and a lot of people have shown up that the moon to be about 300 miles away. All right, so plus or minus, sometimes a little more, sometimes a little less, but it's about 300 miles away. So let's say 300 within that range. And so if the moon is inside the firmament, that means the firmament is also 300 miles away where that point is. If the dome is a slope, and let's say the slope is the same from the middle, the top to the edge, and then say it's the same length of slope, and the sun and the moon, according to the lot of charts that we're seeing, the sun and moon rotates towards like to the middle, if you will. And if that's the case, that means the middle point could be about 600 miles high, and then 600 miles and slope down. So for people who are mathematicians out there, I'm not one of them.
I am shocked and appalled.
So if that's 300 miles to 300 miles there, in the slope, and the slope, and then the slope going down, we might be able to figure actually how big the dome is.
Well, good luck with that.
All right, so if you listen to this and you're like, hey, that made sense, I want to continue this research because it made sense, please do so. Message me below if you want me to help. Yeah, if you like it, thumbs up, reach out to me. I am always looking for more tests to do or ideas to so I'm always trying to prove the Bible, the earth through the Bible. And the more and more I've studied flat earth, the more and more I study the Bible, I'm actually seeing a lot of things that kind of connect.
Too bad for you.